Quickly, get the jack! Oh yeah. Hello friends, hello YouTube, how are you guys doing? Rainbow here with another Nerf mod video. And this time it's a big integration, as you've seen in the intro and if you could probably guess from the title. But before we go into the details about what this is about, I quickly have to explain this build is a mod rescue. This is actually an idea that one of you guys had and proposed to me that I should just, see if I could rescue old mods or if I could pick up stuff that other people don't want to build anymore and then just sort of make it happen and things like that. And this blaster is kind of, well, basically it is that kind of thing. So it's the start of the Rainbow Mod Rescue series. So what that means is I basically didn't do all the work on this blaster. So with this little Mod Rescue series, there's some blasters that have been built to a certain extent or some internals that have been built or something like that. And I just make stuff out of it and finish it so the integration or the whatever mod it is actually gets to life and enjoys the glory of being a modded Nerf blaster. I don't want to keep you waiting any longer, so here it is. Ladies and gentlemen, the Jack, otherwise known as A.M.H.M.G L.S 60.2 Jackhammer. And this is probably the most intimidating Nerf blaster I have built to date. And oh my god, it is a beast. It is quite frankly huge. It fits me perfectly. It is a tad heavy, so I'm gonna shoulder this every now and then. But before we talk about the details of this, here's a quick overview. So now that you've seen the blaster in all its glory, let me talk you through what we actually have here, what this actually is. At the center and the core and still the functioning blaster of this is a Nerf Vulcan. And for those of you who don't know the Vulcan, it's the one that has the belt. So the darts go in here. The belt holds 25 darts and the belt is stored in the box over here. So if you open that up, you can see there's the rest of the belt in there. And because of the belt, the Vulcan actually makes for a really good cosplay or Larp prop because, of the belt-fed machine gun kind of look. And that's exactly what this build is about. I know this looks very realistic, but it's meant to be a post-apocalyptic Larp or cosplay prop. And so no orange tip and all that. It's not meant to be, carried around outside and go play outside with. So it's private and all that stuff. It's also going to be for sale, so whoever's going to buy it, use it responsibly. Thank you. So let's talk about the rest of the integration. We have a Centurion in the back and the rest of the Centurion in the front and a double dealer grip down here. And otherwise, we just have the Vulcan shell just being minimized down here. And just, gives it a little bit of a slicker profile kind of thing. And a double dealer grip in the front, because this is kind of how this is meant to be held and fired, because you don't want to be shouldering this all the time. It's a heavy sort of from the hip kind of machine gun prop. As I said earlier, this blaster is the first of the Mod Rescue series. So let me tell you the story of how I got this, what was already done, what I ended up doing with it, and all of that. It was about a year ago, roughly, maybe a little less than that, that I found someone selling a huge amount of Nerf stuff on the German eBay ads and through all the forums and all the things. And he was a long-time modder, but for personal reasons he had to drop out of the Nerf hobby, selling off all his things, which is kind of sad. But amongst all of the stuff that was there was this. So the core integration was already done. So the Vulcan, the Centurion back, the Centurion front, the Vulcan minimization, that was already done. And it was also painted. So the paint job, that yellow, roughen up post-apocalyptic style, that was already done. So I got in touch with him saying, look, what is the yellow big ass integration on the pictures right there? And he told me what it was, and he said that he had it working at some point, but it wasn't working anymore, and he had no internals, and so that it basically just was a shell at this stage. He also said that there was some parts broken off. It's just an empty shell, nothing in it, but if I really want it, I could totally have it. And so I bought it off him, and so that's when I started. So he ended up sending this to me in a big box with a bunch of spare parts that he thought might be useful. But in the end, I had to source a lot of parts, and I'll tell you what they were. But basically, I was able to fix all the integrations, which was quite easy. It was just a bunch of reinforcing stuff and re-gluing one piece, and that was all it. I have added the double dealer front grip because I wanted a foregrip for this. I wanted it to be like this heavy machine gun prop. This is screwed into the Centurion barrel and then reinforced with epoxy sculpt, so that's solid. And as you can see on the picture here, I then ended up sanding down the barrel as well as the grip area, and the back here, because I wanted to have more contrast in it, but I wanted to keep the original paint job. So in the spots where I had to repaint the blaster, I tried to go as close and as matching as possible, and I think I did a good job. And that is for the externals pretty much. I was missing the following parts. This part was missing, this part was missing, so I had to find a Vulcan. The internals of the Vulcan were missing, so needed a Vulcan anyway. So I got a Vulcan of eBay and put the internals in here, put these things in here, painted them accordingly. I also, because he uses the Centurion grip, which I found really nice, I had to find a Centurion trigger, which is good. I had a broken Centurion laying around, and so I took it from there. And also the Centurion barrel, he included one that wasn't painted, so the paint job here, I completely did that, which is the heat scorching kind of effect down here, and the barrel, I painted all that. And then it was time for the internals. And as you can see here, he already had the Flywheel Vulcan in place. So for those of you who don't know, the Vulcan has a motor in here, but essentially spring power blaster. The motor just pulls back and then releases the spring inside. And this is now the pusher, and I have a set of flywheels sitting in here. So this pushes into the flywheels accelerate the dart. But he already had that set up, but it was just done like quick and dirty. Can you see on the picture here, which just a cut strife cage that was dropped in sort of. I couldn't get that to work, so I ended up doing what I've done with a Vulcan before. I went on Thingiverse because they're some really genius guy, I've forgotten your name, sorry mate, designed a flywheel cage mount for the Vulcan, so links in the description. So I printed this out and then I made it fit to here, which wasn't easy because this integration was done in a different sort of way. It wasn't with the intent of using that 3D printed part. So it was quite a lot of sanding and dremeling and measuring and doing it again and again till it actually fit. But now it fits quite snug and nice in there. So let's talk about the rest of the internals. The Flywheel motors in here are Slot Devil 1033, which is a very common motor here in Germany because it can run on pretty much anything. It can run on 2S, it can run on 3S, and this is why it's used in a lot of Larp builds. And as I said, it's intended to be a prop, a Larp prop or something like that. So this is it. The Vulcan motor is the original one. I've just taken out everything and rewired it. And everything is powered by a 3S LiPo sitting in the back here. So this stock holds the battery. This is a Mr. Nathan inspired battery door, so magnets holding it in place. Pull it out, pull it down. You can see the LiPo sits right there. And then you put that back in here and click it, and that's it. And the magnets hold it in place. Awesome. For the trigger, some of you may have noticed that it's only one trigger, and that's because it's a dual stage trigger, meaning half a trigger pull will rev the flywheels and a full trigger pull will then activate the pusher motor, and then it's a full auto blaster and it's a massive sort of spray and pray, and it sounds a little bit like this. Oh, this is fantastic. The internal setup is, in all honesty, something that I'm very proud of. And this is also my entry for the Merch Masters internals category, because the way this is done, a dual stage trigger requires two switches being connected to this one trigger somehow. But in here, I couldn't fit the big 15 amp switches. I couldn't fit two of them in here. And the way this is normally done is that one is placed in front. But because of how the integration was already done, I couldn't place the other switch in front here. So after a bunch of trying out how I could possibly do it, what I came up with is I have actually put parts of the Centurion trigger mechanism back in place. The Centurion trigger normally is here, but the release is in the back here, so it has this rod going around here. I shaved this down so it'll fit around this motor, and so I was able to place the ref switch in the back here. So half trigger pull activates the switch back here, and full trigger pull activates the switch down here. So as you can see on the picture here, this is the internal setup, how it's running in here, and it's working like a charm. In the front where the trigger is, you can see one switch, which is the pusher switch, and in the back here you can see the ref switch. And that orange sort of rod running underneath, that's the part of the Centurion trigger system that I was able to reuse. I had to shave it down, and I was able to shave it down just enough so it goes around the Vulcan motor, but it's still strong enough to push backwards when you push the trigger. And then I was able to use the original screw post, so I had no issues for the guiding system for this orange rod to go back and forth. And then I just screwed in and fixed the trigger, the switch in the back here, and that's how it is. And I found this such a nice solution to this problem, and therefore also my entry for the contest. So let's see how we go. So the one thing about this build is the performance is a little bit inconsistent because of that long barrel in the front. You get an average of about 100 FPS, which is fantastic for Larp use. It's great. But you have some low ones and some slightly higher ones in there as well. But yeah, it's still like as a suppressing fire machine gun prop kind of thing that will work amazingly. And yeah, now you know everything there is to know about the blaster. You just haven't seen it fire. So out we go. Quick firing demo of the Jackhammer. So from here to that gate over there, that's exactly 20 meters. I got one belt with roughly new-ish elite darts and some other stuff in there, and one belt with waffle heads and accu fakes. So we can see how both of them perform. So the accu fakes and the waffle heads performed a lot better when straight down range, and overall I can see more of them way further down. But with both belts, there is some darts that just kind of sort of, you know, so the occasional whirlybird, but also, you know, some darts that kind of came out wonky because they hit the barrel somewhere here. Alright, and back we are. Now you see what I meant with a slightly inconsistent performance. Of course, you could upgrade this if you wanted to put a better cage and better wheels and all that in here. This is the end of this video. As I said, this was the first blaster. Whoops. This is the first blaster of the Mod Rescue series. I have several others lined up. Let me know in the comments what you think about this series. If you find this a cool thing to do, or if you think this is a waste of time. And also, if you have projects that you're not going to finish, if you have projects that you can't finish, or if you know anyone who, like, I don't know, has stuff laying about that they don't want to do anymore, you can also get in touch if you want. Send me pictures, send me whatever about information about your project, and then I can see whether or not I want to do this, and then you send it to me and I'll just do it. As I said before, this blaster is for sale, so check out my Etsy shop, links in the description below. You might be too late, it might be already be sold, but there's still definitely a bunch of other cool stuff on this shop, so go check it out. And other than that, I hope you like this build. I do love it. It is massive. It is mental, and if I was to do post-apocalyptic LARP, it's probably the thing I would run, just because it's so massive. And yeah, that brings us to the end of the video. Thank you guys so much for watching. It's always amazing. Make sure to check out the videos on screen now. It would mean the world to me if you go check out my website, my Instagram, my Facebook, and as well my Patreon. Shout out to my patrons. You guys are amazing. And other than that, happy nerfing, happy modding, and I'll see you around. Love and sunshine.